All right, so it's, I guess, kind of about Donald Trump, really about everyone else who wants to be where Donald Trump is at. We had Bernie Sanders last night being taken to task for owning 3 houses. Elizabeth Warren pulled no punches. Last night's debate, quite a spectacle there for the Democratic Party. So, Rick Newman, the question is, does this help, hurt? Is it indifferent to Trump's reelection bid? I think, there were a lot of takeaways from last night. The main one was that all the Democrats fought with each other, and Donald Trump didn't really come up that much. Because remember, the first Democrat debates were basically everyone saying, I can beat Donald Trump. Then it was, no, I can beat Donald Trump. And last night, it was mostly like, screw you, no, screw you.
I mean, we're going to have ups and downs still in this race, but this was undoubtedly a good week for Trump because everybody's laughing at the Democrats today, frankly, after the debate. And that's not the only thing that's happened lately. So first of all, Trump was very concerned about Mike Bloomberg, the former mayor of New York City. You could tell Bloomberg was really getting under his skin. And you can always tell by Trump's tweets who's making him feel insecure. And he was really going after Mini Mike, as he calls Bloomberg. When Trump comes up with a derogatory nickname for you, that means he's worried about you. Bloomberg just imploded in the debate. I mean, it's hard to think of anybody who had a worse single moment in one of these 9 debates than he had last night when Elizabeth Warren eviscerated him over the non-disclosure agreements involving possibly sexual harassment or discrimination at his company. He had to have seen that coming, and he didn't have an answer. He just flubbed it. And meanwhile, look at what else has happened. Bernie Sanders, the socialist, is now the leading Democrat, and the Democrats are looking so split that while Sanders now seems likely to get the most votes, it also looks like nobody's going to get enough votes to win the nomination outright, which means this food fight in the party is going to go on all the way through their convention into July. This, without a doubt, benefits Trump because all that time is those are weeks and months that Democrats are fighting each other instead of, as you pointed out, Miles, going after Trump.
Just like all the time Republicans spent fighting each other instead of Hillary Clinton.
Which is one of the reasons Trump emerged as the candidate in 2016. And in the same way, you can say, well, who's the real renegade if you make an analog to the Democrats this year? And it would be Bernie Sanders.
Yeah,
so this all makes it look like Bernie Sanders. I mean, it's hard to imagine Bernie Sanders. Like, imagine he is the Democrat. Will Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama and the Democratic stalwarts be stumping for him in October next year? He's the best we've got.
And is George Bush and Jeb Bush going to be stumping for Donald Trump?
It's not going to go. So this is far from over. Yeah. Trump still has many vulnerabilities, but look, it was a good week for him. And if you care about markets, you do care how this race goes, whether Trump has a better chance or a worse chance, and if his opponent is going to end up being Bernie Sanders or somebody who looks a little more formidable.
So it does seem like Bloomberg, as you said, imploded, had a bad night. Let's say he's kind of off the table, although we haven't seen a ton of polling yet.
He also isn't on the next 2 ballots.
Right.
So it's like he can pretend his fiction is, he can pretend he's real for 2
Maybe a little
weeks.
bit, but let's just pretend that he's not going to get enough votes. He still has a ton of money.
Yeah, he's a factor. He's a factor no matter what.
Or did all those other people on the stage make it so that he's not going to give money to their campaigns and spend big? Is that the idea of this hugely rich benefactor? Mm-hmm. Is that off the table, too, for President Trump? Is Bloomberg going to walk with his money and go home?
A couple of things. First of all, Bloomberg is not dead. There's another debate in 5 days. I mean, they're going to do this all over again, and Bloomberg obviously is going to try to do better. He has to.
Everything they brought up is still going to happen.
Well,
you can see the attack ad right now. You can't. How are you going to recover?
You know what? Bloomberg
everything he did?
Bloomberg, I think, looks pretty good on paper. It's his performance was just terrible. So there are answers to the non-disclosure agreements. First of all, he can say how many are there. I mean, it's possible there are only 5. He could have handled this so much differently. He could have said, you know what? Since you people to my left don't know what it's like to start and run a large company, let me explain to you a little bit. It's very complicated. Things happen all the time. I can't possibly be responsible for the behavior of 4,000 people. And by the way, I don't have the right to just say something that happened when it's a legal settlement. Like you have.
Okay.
He could have said that.
But he has $60 billion because of the company, so he got a lot of the upside here. So you got to own the downside. You can't just be like, I don't know everything that went on. He's got $60 billion.
Also, some of them
own
are
the downside.
his own jokes that didn't go over so well.
So right, the TurboTax and
my God.
so he needs to own the downside. So I mean, look at what he did on Stop and Frisk. He did say, look, I regret that policy. He could do something similar with regard to Elizabeth Warren's allegation, but he just didn't.
All right.
Totally
How did this
Let's go back to the president.
impact the Trumpometer
Why are we here?
this week? It is the Trumpometer.
Okay, what kind of week did Trump have?
And the debates played into this.
Economically.
Oh, economically.
Mediocre.
So why,
Third best.
Why the little dip since the debate was so great?
Because it's just 1 week, and there's going to be a lot of volatility. So this would be like a 1.5% up week in the S&P 500. Not bad, but you know there's volatility, and it's not a killer week. It's just pretty good. I think there are going to be worse weeks for Trump, but until the Democrats get their act together and start training their collective fire on Trump rather than on each other, Trump is cakewalking into the general election right now.
All right. Mediocre for President Trump. I'm sad there's not another debate tonight.
5 days. You only have to wait 5 days.
I want to do something else.
You could watch the last debate again.
Good.
You could rent it on Netflix.
Streaming.
Pop
Maybe
some
I'll just come
popcorn.
up with a channel.
Hey investors, Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.